First off, was the recall of the 6 judges appropriate?
Yes, I am going to say yes, in the sense that he that alleges must prove. When you allege that somebody have committed a crime, because issues that borders on corruption is crime. Therefore, when you allege that somebody has committed a crime, the burden of proof is on the person that have alleged. And of course, we know clearly that Section 36, particularly Section 5, provides for presumption of innocence. And what that means is that anybody that has been alleged to have committed an offense is presumed to be innocent unless the contrary is proved. However, having said this, of course, Section 153, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, provides for National Judicial Council. This is a body empowered to investigate any issue of corruption or petition against any certain judge. And when you go to part 1 of the 3rd schedule of the same provision, particularly Section 21 provides for the powers of the NJC to investigate such judges. And of course, we know that for some time now the investigation has been going on. And of course, you cannot ask the NJC to nail or dismiss any of the judges that there is nothing against them.
All right. Now, of course, the NJC says that cases have not been built against these judges, and Justice Ademola has been discharged and acquitted in court. But what about the statement credited to Professor Isse Sagi, saying that the NJC should have consulted AFCC and the DSS before recalling the judges?
Well, I don't know the learned professor's opinion from where he's speaking from.
He's saying because the image of the judiciary would be damaged.
What I know is that National Judicial Council, NJC, by the powers constitutionally conferred on them, they must ensure that they do thorough investigation on those judges before recalling them. And of course, you know that if there is nothing found on them, because if you go to our courts, you will agree with me that in fact the workload of the judges are very enormous. And when you have a judge that is sitting at home without any crime being hanged on his neck or her neck, and I mean, it's not justiciable. Okay, fine. Justice Ademola has been discharged and acquitted of 18 count corruption charges. And you can imagine 18 counts. And the man was discharged and acquitted because there was no evidence. The burden of the prosecution could not discharge the burden of proof to nail the Honorable Justice Ademola. And therefore, in the wisdom of NJC, what they have done is they have investigated, they reinstated these judges. Justice Okoro of the Supreme Court of Nigeria is among. Justice Abba Aji of the Court of Appeal is among. And all of them, both at the Federal High Court, at the National Industrial Court, they have. And again, if you also look at what is happening, there's also some judges that the same NJC have placed on watch And what does that mean? Is that they are finding evidence. Once that there's that clear evidence against them, they nail them.
All right, but doesn't it seem quickly now because of time? Doesn't it seem, because from the view of the public now, that the NJC is trying to protect its own, knowing that fully well when this all started, it was the NBA that pressured the NJC to suspend the accused judges so they could face trial. And it was even on the request of the Attorney General of the Federation that the NJC ordered these judges to recuse themselves to be investigated in the first place.
You see, there's two pillars of justice, of fair hearing. And that is, you must hear the other side. When an accusation is made or alleged that someone has committed a crime, you must, in order to give that person a fair trial or hearing, you must hear that person out. And as far as the law is concerned, the Constitution, they have presumption of innocence. However, I am a member of NBA. And of course, even in our conference on the 29th of May, the NBA also told the NJC to recall or suggested that they should recall those judges that nothing is found against them because of the weight of work that is pending in our courts.
All right, thank you very much for your analysis, Mr. Kennedy Osunwa. You're a constitutional lawyer. Thank you for coming into the studio.